Hiya, wonderful people, how are you? Well, today I'm talking about nudges, and I'm talking about the plan that we write before we come here. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So I was talking to the emissaries about how they go about doing stuff. And I said, do you kind of have over the table meetings, to get together? And they said, yes, obviously not in the way that you think. We unite and we come up with strategies about how to help people, how to help the world. And we come up with this solution. And they said the fact that when we come together, we are one united energy. When we come up with a solution, it's always a good solution, because it's like all of that, we're all resonating at the same frequency. All the pieces of the puzzle fit together, and we know that that's the right solution, because every one of the beings is kind of like in this unison and agreement. And so I'm telling you that because it fits in later on. So I said to them, why did you choose me? Why did you come to me and give me these messages? And they said, we didn't choose you, you chose you. And they said that you wrote that into your plan, that's what you wanted to do. They said before you came here, as you were formulating your plan, that was written in. Just as the time that you chose to awaken was written into your plan. And so I said, so does everybody write, everyone who's waking up, do they write in when it is that they want to wake up? And they said, yes, they do. But what they do is this. They said, we write into our plan what they called nudges. So we give ourselves nudges. Yeah, and we write in multiple nudges because we need them, because we don't always listen to the first nudge. The thing I was talking about before, this intuition that we have, which goes, don't do that, and then we do it. Nudge one. So I asked them, I said, how many people respond to the first nudge? And they said, very few, very few. The idea of the nudge is to start to untwine the belief structure that we have. And so when we miss the first nudge, then we have the next nudge, and then we have the next nudge, until finally the nudge is strong enough to wake us up. The kind of compound. And they said, unfortunately, when you miss your first nudge, you've got to then go through the same shit again, maybe in a different format, but the same shit. And then you get your next nudge, and then you've got the opportunity of waking up. So I said to them, well, when we're writing our plan, is it just our individual plan? Do we write in isolation? And they said, no, we write our plans combined with our soul group, and also with any other beings that need to come into our plan. Because, we have our soul group, but we also have lots of other interactions with people. And in that plan, we agree who's going to come in long term into the plan, who's going to have a cameo role. Yeah, a cameo role where they're going to come in and do something important and then go, and that can be for good and it can be for bad as well. And then they give me this analogy, you can have a calendar on your computer, and you can share the calendar with other people, so other people see the same events as you do. And that's kind of the analogy that they were giving me, was that when we write our plan, we have this shared calendar with all of these beings. And so every being knows when it's their entrance, when they have to come in and do their bit. And so that's how it's all organized. And I think that's an analogy that's very basic. God knows the complexity of these plans, but that's how it is. And so we write into our calendar all of these nudges. And they said that the nudges that we write in start very early on. And so what they described our life, the way that the lessons that we've written into our life, normally in our childhood, in the first 7 years or whatever, we experience the trauma that is going to then colour our entire life. And that trauma the job is we have the trauma, or we take on board beliefs that are unhelpful or whatever as children. And then the idea is that we put in the nudges to help us to overcome them. And so that's why it's rare for somebody, in their 20s just to wake up and to be able to resolve all of their childhood issues. Normally it's a bit later on, but they say that the nudges are there, and we keep, I think I've said this before, I had a really, really interesting, I had a very, very unbalanced and violent father who was a Cancerian, right? Cancerian's lovely sign, but an unbalanced Cancerian, not very good. Like any sign, an unbalanced anything, not good. So I had this, Cancerians are quite, an unbalanced Cancerian is extremely self-obsessed, and they can become victims. And so my father was a victim, and he kind of expressed his victimhood by beating the shit out of me, right? And then I left that. I left the witnesses and left that, and whew, that's it. And I married a Cancerian, unbalanced Cancerian, who was my father. Just another nudge. This was the next nudge. The same, exactly the same style. Over-domineering, violent, abusive, just not nice, self-obsessed. And then I let that one go. And then I had another nudge, and then I had another nudge, and then finally I woke up. And so that's kind of how it works. It isn't that if you miss a nudge, it doesn't matter. Because you're going to have them. You're going to have them for your entire life. So I said to the emissaries, are there people who never ever wake up to the nudges? And they said, yeah, absolutely. They said, unfortunately, the people who don't wake up to the nudges end up living a very unsatisfactory life. They don't feel fulfilled. Life is sad, miserable, disappointing. They said, because the nudge, the idea of the nudge is to wake you up to your purpose, to who you are. And endless stories. And I know that all the people who are watching this will have their story of, this was a pivotal moment in my life, and that's when I started to live properly. I started to appreciate what life was. I started to appreciate myself. I started to love life. And that's what these nudges are. That's the journey that we're on. And so the emissary said that the people who don't wake up to the nudges and who just continue just doing the same thing, they're not happy, they're not satisfied, and they're not fulfilled, because they're not able to realize the real person that they are, the real being that they are. And that the nudges, when we wake up to a nudge, it galvanizes us to be our true self, to be true to ourselves, which is the purpose of why we come here, to learn how to be true to ourselves. Who are we? We're God. That's it. So the emissary is saying, watch out for the nudges. When life gives you lemons, you're supposed to make lemonade. You're not just supposed to complain about it and say, isn't this a shit life? Look at the lemons I've got in my life. So that's what this is all about. This is this game. We've written the script. We wrote it. And with our group, our soul group, and all of the people who come in, who do nice things for us, and the ones who do horrible things to us, we wrote that in. And they're just looking at the Google Calendar going, shared Google, oh my God, I've got to go into his life now and make it shit. Hello, my name's such and such. I'm here to make your life shit. They're just following your script. And that's why we should never judge what happens. And that's why we should welcome everything. Everything is a message. Bad and good is a message. And the bad ones are typically the nudges. Yeah. And typically what happens is we get a nudge, it's really bad, and then somebody somewhere or some situation offers us a solution. How many times has somebody offered you a solution and you have rebutted it? I know I have. The yes, but. Yeah, well, all you need to do is this. Yes, but, if it were that easy, I would do it. So that's when we rebut a nudge. But it'll come again, and it'll come again. Just the more you become aware of them, the more that you can really, really start getting your life shifting. There was a point in my life where I thought, I'm being guided. And I've got to say that I've always felt that from very small, that I wasn't in charge of this life. I was being dragged, pulled through life. I've always thought that, and I still think that now. But I became acutely aware of when people were offering me things, offering me suggestions, when people were telling me what might make my life better. And I listened. And I still do. When people tell me, I listen. And very often, if it really gets me excited what they're saying, I do it. And it always seems to work out beautifully. Rarely does it work out badly. The only time it's worked out badly is when somebody's offered me something and my intuition said, no, definitely not. The gut, right? You know, up here we can rebut lots of things. No, that one, and it's fear. But it's when you get that, ooh, no. And the times that I had the intuition and I still went with it, bloody hell, it worked out very badly. Big nudge. So, but sometimes I think we need those nudges, don't we? We need them because without them, we don't learn that lesson. So, how are your nudges going on? How many times have you been nudged and you've ignored it? And when did you get your nudge that woke you up? Put in the comments, I'd be really interested to know that. I love you all and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.